Wow, it was an amazing weekend reading all these indies. I've got 17 books to review here. There are some of these y'all are missing out on. Howdy, howdy, I'm American Texan, and I love comic books, specifically reading comic books, enjoying the art within. Other channels will deal with the drama and the hype. We're here to talk about the stories, and I don't like to call myself a reviewer, but I like to talk about them at least and suggest whether or not you may like or not like it. I try to avoid spoilers, and we're going to take a look inside the books. I am a physical reader, but I think most of these will be available digitally if you see a book that you like. I've got books from Image, Bad Idea, some pure indies that were crowdfunded, Dynamite. I've got a wide assortment of comics, so let's go over to the table and let's talk some indies. All right, here we're going to try this angle here. I read 18 indie books. Sorry, no trade to read to talk about this week because I spent so much time reading these singles, these floppies. I'm excited. It was a great week. I love indies. It's a great palate cleanser. I prefer to read the big two first and then indies because I know I'm going to enjoy these. Even the ones that I don't enjoy, the fact that I'm just not invested by decades of character development that's being ruined, totally fine with me. So let's get into it. We're going to go into release order for the issues, starting with Murder Drones #1. I got this because it was getting hyped at my LCS. A lot of people were excited for it. This was selling out pretty quick on the pre-order show that they do on Tuesday nights. So I decided to grab it, and this is the definition of a comic book I'm too old for. There's lots of, I think, attempts at humor. I don't think they're being serious when they talk about toxic masculinity, and there's like a joke here. Let me see if I can zoom in. It says like, I'm an angsty teen, Chad. Bite me. Also, how do you know my name? People willingly talk to you. Actually, it was right before that, I think. Yeah, classic toxic masculinity, Chad. That's never going to end up problematic. I feel like this is not supposed to be serious. It's supposed to be like a joke, but I don't know. Just the way it's presented didn't really come to me. Then also, a few pages in, I started getting cross-eyed. I think the world here is being developed is interesting, but the execution, while not bad, just isn't for me. Also at the end, slight spoiler alert, the dad's kind of useless, and I don't like useless dads. We get enough of that in American media. So I don't think this is American media so much. I don't think it's a non-American entity or IP or whatever. Anyways, I don't like talking about stuff that I don't like. So anyways, Murder Drones, I tried it. I didn't like it. The art was fine, but overall just did not resonate with me. Phantom of the Opera. I'm not doing any of the Universal Monster issues, books, or anything. I hear good things about The Invisible Man. I heard good things about some of the other ones. But this one I enjoyed. I got it because I heard it was more of a noir mystery. And wow, this thing really surprised me. So this is by Tyler Boss and illustrated by Martin Simmons. And this is a very water painted type of book. You can see here, I'm trying to get the book here so there's less glare. I'm still trying to figure that out. If anyone has any tips, let me know. But yeah, the art here is really good. And I don't know too much about the Phantom of the Opera. I've never seen it. And this actually makes me want to see it. Apparently there's like a lot of different stories. It's not just like the Broadway show is the only story. And so I think this is a take on one of the stories. Really, really well done. Very French. So I enjoyed that. It's something totally different. So it was very steeped in the French culture. Just again, beautiful watercoloring, beautiful artwork. I'm definitely adding this to my pool because you find out at the end, there's some intrigue of the main mystery. The main actress dies, and so another woman takes her place, and the woman who takes her place, who is now the lead, maybe the Phantom of the Opera helped her out to get that done so he could use her. I don't know. Very interesting. Again, I want to go watch the movies or the play or something to get more familiar because this was a really cool intro into the IP here. So I liked Phantom of the Opera. You don't have to be a music buff, but I guess it does help. Next, a couple of pure indies that I read. These were Kickstarters, even though it was from First Comics. Now, First Comics, I enjoy. They did a lot of Nexus and a lot of Mike Baron stuff. They do Kickstarters. I know they still solicit at the stores, I'm pretty sure, but this was on Kickstarter, so I got it. And I had no idea how deep the lore on this campaign, on this IP goes. This is Zen Intergalactic Ninja Bounty Wars. And so Zen Intergalactic Ninja is the existing IP. They have stories going all the way back to the 90s, maybe even earlier, but this is a new set of stories. And even though I knew nothing about the character, I didn't feel lost. I felt super intrigued, and I really, really enjoyed this one. This is by Steve Stern, illustrated by Bill Mouse, and I got signed covers here by Bill Mouse. And I love it when they sign the cover and it's actually the same signature as the printed signature. So you got the Bill Mouse signature here. And then on the art, you can see it down here, the Bill Mouse signature. So it is the right signature. It is the same signature. I always like seeing that. But this character really intrigues me because he is a bounty hunter, but he doesn't kill, or at least he tries not to kill. In this series, he's not trying to kill. And of course, that can only get you so far, because as something's escaping, another bounty hunter who he calls a headhunter actually kills it. So the intrigue here is that, the bounty is supposed to be brought in dead or alive, the bounty is supposed to be brought in alive, but the headhunter shoots him, and it's like, oh, just say he tried to attack me, and on the way to take him in, I had him alive, and, things happened. And it's interesting. And then he's kind of got this moral quandary of, I'm a bounty hunter. I'm good at what I do, but does he necessarily like it? Is he almost too wholesome or good-hearted to do this? Really interesting. Very, very Star Wars-y on the vibe. In fact, in both issues, he visits a bounty hunter bar, and it's very Mos Eisley Cantina. But yeah, it was very good. Some of the characters look great. He looks a little bit like Space Spider-Man. That doesn't bother me, but maybe it bothers some people. And then he runs into I don't know if it's an old flame, but maybe an old coworker. Not really too much romantic tension there, but definitely they're like old friends, and they're going to partner up on a job. And there's a little bit of a moral quandary with who he has to bounty next. So very great story. I really enjoyed it. I'm all in. And in fact, I wrote down a note. When I go to my comic shop, I'm going to take a look at their back issues, or actually their back trades, and see if they have any other Zen Intergalactic Ninja stories, because it was really interesting. And then there's a character that shows up at the end that's a homage to someone, but it's unique enough that it's a fun time. So I really liked it. And yeah, you can see here on the back, plenty of different stories that are told with him. And Hard Bounty is kind of I think the one that came out, or at least chronologically maybe came out right before this one, because they reference it in the little editor notes. So Zen Intergalactic Ninja, I'm kind of warm on that. I like that a lot. This one surprised me. Another couple of true indies, and then we'll go into more off the shelf at the LCS. The Haven and Sketch Night. This is coming from a new universe called Rook City. Well, I don't know what the publisher is. The publisher I don't think is listed on here, but the universe takes place in Rook City. Kind of like the Rippaverse, they have enhanced humans, which are like mutants or metahumans. We're not exactly sure yet, but they call them enhanced. And these are two stories that happen in the Rook City universe. First is Haven. Haven is kind of like a Superman character. He can fly. He has super strength. But what I love about this is they go right into, should you kill the bad guy? And do more innocents die or are harmed because the good guys refuse to kill? And the bad guys literally like, hey, chase me, try to kill me, you ain't gonna do nothing. And as a result, look at that, someone gets injured because the good guy's not gonna act upon the bad guy. And so there's some really great moral quandaries in here, and the bad guy escapes, and then you got to figure out kind of how he deals with that towards the end. The bad guy is Inferno, and he gets snuck in some kind of vial, and it turns him into like blue fire, which is obviously more dangerous. So he was already dangerous before. Now he's even more dangerous. What is our hero going to do? I mean, I really, really like this. This one really surprised me. I went in not expecting much, but it really surprised me. I did enjoy Haven more than Sketch Night, but Sketch Night was still interesting. He's a little bit of not in the power set, but in the, what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe psychographics. He's similar to Spider-Man, and he's the young kid. He's hiding his superpowers. And Sketch Night, his power is he has, I don't know if it's his power, but he has a magic notebook, and whatever he draws in the notebook can come to life in real time, in real life. And he can also suck things into his notebook and store items in his notebook. So that's his magic notebook. So you can kind of imagine like he's in the middle of a battle. He needs something. He quickly has to draw it. That's kind of a downside, right? Because he has to draw it. But you find out his alter ego, his real life, he's a paralyzed kid. And so he has to go around. He gets picked on, of course. That's the part of his archetype. But he's paralyzed. So how does he, become a superhero? Well, he draws some kind of special board that plugs into his back and gives him ability to use his legs. It's very interesting. And it also comes with a lot of risk. So I think that's pretty cool. And then you can see here when he's not, when he draws his special skateboard that plugs into his back so he can walk, he sucks his wheelchair into his notebook, so his wheelchair can kind of come with him if he needs it. Really great action here, very interesting in the way that the book kind of ends. But yeah, again, I really like the stories here. They're really tackling some of the things I think that we wish others knew. And this kid, he's not really a superpowered kid. He just has a superpowered notebook, and how much can that really help you if you get stuck, right? Like, because people are like, well, what if he loses his pen? What if he loses his notebook? What if he gets separated from his notebook? There's a lot of what ifs that can turn this character from an asset into a liability, and they kind of go there. So I think this is a fantastic issue. I am all in on everything coming out from this publisher. This is, actually, I should have said this first. Haven was written by Braden Villoria and illustrated by Leonardo Utin. And then Sketch Night is written by the same Braden Villoria and illustrated by Victor Silva. So these were both really good. So anything Rook City coming out, I'm going to check out again. Then we also got Save Now. I'm going to go a little bit faster for some of these. This is a test for me because they say you should be able to pick up a book and enjoy it no matter where you are in the series. I picked up issue 0, which is actually coming out after issue 2. So issue 0 of Save Now kind of introduces you to his team. This guy's team, he's kind of like he's a time traveler, but he can create save points and he can go back to them. And so I have not read 1 and 2. I read issue 0, and then I also got issue 3. And let me tell you, if that's your judgment of a good comic book, this is a good comic book because I jumped right in on issue 3. I felt like I could keep up. Look at this, the emotion that it just shows up with. And it comes to, his wife dying and why didn't he save point back? And you find out exactly why. Did he or did he not? Did he try and then stop? I mean, very emotional gut punch here. And then you get a little bit of a story here, a chapter of him traveling with his daughter in some kind of post-apocalyptic wasteland, desert. I don't know. But it really gives you a lot of thought. He flashes back to when he started his family. It's humorous, it's emotional, but it's also action-packed. It's got some great action at the end because you find out his team is chasing him. Maybe you already knew that, but I found out. So I really, really enjoyed Save Now. Bad Idea Comics is giving me the impression of Ghost Machine. They release a little less frequently, but when they do, it is absolutely gorgeous. So highly recommend Save Now, and I'm going to see if I can get the first 2 issues. And by the way, I keep forgetting, this is written by Matt Kent and illustrated by Thomas Jorillo. On to Wrestle Heist number 3. This is written and illustrated by Kyle Starks, who I'm really enjoying. And this one was a great issue. We start off with a death match that they have to fight. And they're desperate. They're trying to get some assets, some resources, some people to rob the guy who robbed them, essentially, of their careers. And it gets kind of emotional. There's some items here. I don't think it's too on the nose, but there are some things brought up that maybe you've heard rumors in mainline wrestling, like real life wrestling, but it's just different enough that it's not too on the nose. But it does kind of get you thinking like, okay, how badly they were treated and how empathetic you get with them. There's some emotional things in here about how they were mistreated by their old job. Really sets you up to hate the wrestling CEO that they're about to rob. And there's a great twist at the end that leaves you wondering like, oh man, what is going to happen next? Wrestle Heist, I really enjoyed, highly recommend it. Final Boss number 4. This is written by Tyler Kirkham and illustrated, Tyler Kirkham with David Miller. And we get a little bit more information about his dad in the flashback to when they found out some mysterious power that's now transferred over to our main character here. I can't remember his name. He's training. He goes to get some equipment for the big fight that he's about to have. And we get a little introduction to this side character here. She almost reminds me of the wolf gal from Rook Exodus. But I was kind of wondering why they put her in here. And it turns out towards the end, there's a solicit that she's going to have her own series. So I'm okay with that. And then we get to the main fight here where he has to fight some kind of natives named Ritual. And so I like here again the stats, and I find myself, Tommy, that's what it was, Tommy. I find myself like, okay, so this guy, we don't know how old he is, but he's probably older than Tommy. Let's see here. He has more stamina than Tommy. He has less speed, so Tommy's going to have to beat him on speed. He has less strength, so Tommy's got him on strength. But special skill, he's got over twice the special skill. So almost like a video game, like you're like thinking like, what's Tommy got to look out for? How is Tommy going to take this guy down? And it does kind of end mid-fight, but again, the art is fantastic. There's not much here in the story. I'd say it's like Pacific Rim level storytelling where you get just enough of a MacGuffin, just enough of a reason for this person to want to continue. And that's totally fine with me because the joy in this book is really the art. So really, really enjoy that one. Final Boss number 4. Highly recommend it. Capes number 4 as well by Robert Kirkman and illustrated by Mark Englert. I really like this one. Capes is growing on me. This had some more information on what happened with Captain Cosmic, who just appeared forward in time. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty cool. Even Captain Capitalist, you know, they're not automatically painting him as a bad guy, which is fine. Like, you can have Captain Capitalist be a bad guy, but to just come out, like, I think it was issue 2, President Midas of Dennis Camp's Ultimates, like, he just comes out and he's just such a terrible bad guy and just overly bad and badly written. And so, like, I don't care if Captain Capitalism is written the same way as President Midas is, but do it well. And this is done well to where, like, you don't automatically know Captain Capitalism is bad. You have a sense, but maybe he might not. I don't know. Anyways, and I really enjoyed it. So this was really more about character moments, but there was also some good action in here. I really enjoyed Capes. I'm excited to stay on. And next, my recommendation, my ultimate sleeper recommendation, Ferocious number 4. This is written by Luke Petrowski and Emmanuel Ercolani, and more gorgeous art here and more just super intrigue of this kid who's following this demon woman around in order to learn enough about her to kill her. And maybe she's old enough to get bored, or maybe she wants the challenge. She's basically training this boy to kill her as well. And in the last issue, she took 5 arrows. I think it was 5 arrows. And she's like, look, one more arrow and I'll die. And the kid's like, I'm not going to take that chance because the other guys that shot those 5 arrows will still get the credit on your kill. And I want full credit. And it's a little like selfish and narcissistic maybe, but I mean, it's an interesting take on the character. So maybe this boy, he had the chance to end this suffering and end this woman's life, but he still kind of wants to do it all on his own. And it's a little bit of that hubris. Doesn't paint him exactly as the best protagonist he could be. So I'm really enjoying that one. The art in this one was a little more in the shade because a lot of it takes place at night at Fireplace, but still really good art, still really interesting characters, and they approach a village, and I'll just leave it at that. Highly recommend Ferocious. It reads really well as a monthly, but I think it'll read better as a trade. All right, now for my biggest, like, I still don't know if I'm going to stay reading this. Supernatural number 5. This is written by Greg Pak and illustrated, this time by 3 artists, Pasquale Andrea Arcani and Gerardo Gamboni. Man, if they had a single artist, I think this would be so much better. We get a continuation from the last issue. This one seems to close out the arc, and it goes in a wild direction. They start in a library, and they end in a ghost courthouse. But the way they get there kind of makes sense. It's kind of a little all over the place. But I'll tell you this, after reading this, first arc's done. I think the writing is there. It can be a little cheesy, but the illustrations just is not. I did take a look at the next month's solicit, and issue 6 goes down to 1 artist. And the previous issues mentioned or listed all the artists. So here's my thing. I'm going to message my LCS and say, hey, look, if it's true that there is only 1 artist continuing on this, starting with issue 6, keep it on my pull list. If it's listed as multiple artists in whatever their system to order is, remove it. Because that's the biggest problem with this. Now, the art change in this is a little more subtle compared to last time where, like you can see here, like automatically it's shifted. So before it was more comic booky, more natural. It actually looks good. I like this art style. And then it switches to more of this less detailed, more what I call digital comic art. And it just takes you out of it. The undead guys look fine, but the people don't. And so I don't mind artist switches in between books. I can get with that. But in the middle of a book, like it's too disruptive. It just, you know you're reading a comic. You don't need to be reminded in a bad way that you're reading a comic. So, Supernatural was met. I still don't recommend it unless you're super, super hardcore fan and you're just dying to get more Supernatural. But I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully it'll pick up. So we'll see with issue 6. I probably should remove it from my pool, but I'm interested. I think the story's fine. All right, Escape number 6. This one is great. Let me move this stack here. We're about halfway here. Thank you guys for sticking with me. If you like all of these Let's Talk Comics, by all means, click like and subscribe because I love to do these and share my hobby with you, as well as talk with you guys in the comments. I love talking with you guys in the comments. Okay, Escape number 6. This is written by Rick Remender and illustrated by Daniel Acuna. I was surprised. I thought this was going to close out the story, but this is an ongoing, which is very interesting because this guy is behind enemy lines. You can only be behind enemy lines for so long, right? Like maybe another few issues. I don't know. So this one, he sneaks behind enemy lines. He lets himself get captured. And of course, if you're going to let yourself get captured, you better have a plan. And this dude has a plan. And no flashbacks in this one. But it's him versus almost like that not Mads Mikkelsen. Who's the other guy who played? He played in like Inglourious Bastards, the Nazi guy. He kind of plays that kind of character. Can't remember his name. So they have the little banter back and forth. Like, you think you're so good, and you have just as many war atrocities and just as many evil in your side, your people, as you say about our people. This is really the kind of dialogue, like if you want to make a commentary on war and that no one wins and it just brings out the worst in people, this is the way to do it. There's a lot of tension. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of stakes. I mentioned in my issue 1 review a long time ago when issue 1 came out that the way they were just talking about it in a plane did not resonate with me. It was too preachy. It was too forward. It was too much on the nose. This is a great way to do it because there's tension. There's a reason these guys are talking. The dialogue is much more smooth and less forced. I liked it a lot. So Escape number 6, this series has grown on me. I was a little cool on it. I was kind of mid on it, but then it really grew on me, and we get some interesting things here. In fact, right here, he's like, you let yourself get caught, and he says yes to distract you. He taps his foot. What happens next? You have to read the book. So I enjoyed Escape number 6. Highly recommend that one. I think it'll also read better as a trade. And here we go, Skinbreaker Treasury Edition. This book, when I see it on my pull list, I get so excited because this is just something to behold. Now, the biggest critique, and you'll probably see it in this issue, is that people are kind of getting a little cool off on this because this is written by Robert Kirkman and illustrated by the great David Finch. People are getting kind of tired because most of David Finch's illustrations are on forestry. And I guess people are getting bored on that. Like you have this panel here. You got the waterfall. You got the landscaping here. There's some action here. But then we go to more forestry here, more waterfalls. There's the giant fish monster, which is pretty cool. I also heard that they say the monsters all look the same. I don't think the monsters all look the same. And then he comes out, and again, we get a big splash page, but it's just mountains. It's not a lot of interaction human to human. It's a lot of nature. You can see one here, a lot more nature. So I can get with that. I can understand that, but I don't have a problem with it. There's so much in every word of dialogue. Every panel is communicating so much, even just these things about, that are just showcasing the forestry and the nature. I enjoy that. I think it looks great. So I highly recommend Skinbreaker. If you can pull it, or if you can swing it, Treasury Edition is definitely awesome. Seems like a lot of people are not doing the Treasury Edition, which is fine. It is an investment. I mean, it's $15 an issue. But if you can swing it, or even if you just get one just to enjoy it, oh man, it's so beautiful, so gorgeous. I really, really am enjoying this one because it's simple, but it uses the medium well. Speaking of using the medium well, maybe I had my hopes up too high. I got Assorted Crisis Events number 8. This is the reprint, second edition, I should say, written by Dennis Camp and illustrated by Eric Zawadzki. And this is about a comic book illustrator who falls inside the gutters of his own comic. And it's not in a cartoony way. It's in a very depressive way. Basically, he develops alcoholism because of his life, and he falls in the gutters, and now he's trapped in the gutters. He can see people reading them. He sees other people who have been lost in the gutters, and it's basically him retelling how he got here. He started as a comic book writer and, kind of gave up some of his own personality in writing, and because of that, he found success, and then he just continued to spiral, losing himself. I think it was a good story. I think it was interesting. It was very depressing. A lot of people see that. In fact, there's even a spot here where he's like, hey, look, we're about to have kids. And he flat out tells you, like, don't keep reading. It just gets sadder. And it does. It just gets sadder. I think it was fine. I like the way the paneling is on some of these. Like he says he feels disconnected, and it shows him disconnected literally from his wife, his daughter, his parents, and disconnected from himself. Like I like panels like that. But yeah, I mean, it is just a sad story. And maybe if you're dealing with stuff like that, it will just make you more sad. I do like to read things that make me feel. This one, I don't know. It was just a little too on the nose. So it was interesting. I don't know if I'm going to keep it or not. But I guess if you're like me and you like feeling things, you should like this. I don't know. I can't put it into words why I didn't like this, like other things that I like feeling things. That makes sense. Like Mark Miller will write stories that make me feel things and make me upset. Like literally there was an issue of one of Jupiter Legacy books, and I had to like put it down and walk away because I was like, that was too much. I cannot. Ooh, man, that hit me. I mean, it just hit me in the feels, and I was like, I gotta stop. I gotta stop reading and go do something. This one, I didn't get that. I was ready to just go on to my next book. I wish I knew how to put it into words, but it is what it is. So number 8, it was all right. Then we go on to Hyde Street. Hyde Street is back, issue 10. This is written by Jeff Johns and illustrated by Francis Portela. So this is, I think it's really good. I didn't even realize that it didn't have the normal artist. I believe Ivan Reis normally illustrates this. I liked it. I thought the art did just well. And we finally get sisterhood and what she's trying to do. And we get her backstory of how she was called and captured into Hyde Street. And it's interesting. It's compelling. At first, you're not sure if they're really seances. Is that the word? Psychics? And then you kind of find out how they do what they do and why they do what they do. And then they enter Hyde Street and you kind of find out why she entered into Hyde Street, why she's in Hyde Street, but also why she may be hesitant to leave Hyde Street. So I liked it. It was very good. The thread keeps continuing. And again, Ghost Machine lacks consistency in their release, but excels at consistency with their quality. So I would rather have that than something like Spider-Man that comes out every month and it's just no good. I would rather wait a few months to get stuff like this. I'm okay with that. And recommend anything Ghost Machine still. Hyde Street is no exception. A couple more books here and then we're done. We got Power Fantasy number 16. What a great book and what a good way to do a rug pull. I'm telling you right now, this was a rug pull, but in the best way possible. So the lore behind Power Fantasy is Karen Gillian writes this and Casper Wingard illustrates it, and Gillen writes in the back of his books little essays about the book and about things about writing the book and all that stuff. It's interesting. I'll give it to him. And he writes, I don't know if we're going to go past 16. 16 might be it. The sales numbers are okay, but I don't know if we're going to be able to continue. And we're all sitting here. You can even go back and watch my previous Power Fantasy reviews. I'm like, I hope this goes past because I'm enjoying it, but I hope if it does stop at 16, they land it. And you read this and it has a very interesting ending on the last page. And you're like, okay, I guess I'm okay with that for an ending. And then the very first line of the, not verbatim, but the very first line of Kieran's write-up at the end is, yeah, we're going to 17. We're going to keep going. And it sounds like, the way he wrote it, it sounds like he knew they were going to go past, but they wanted to play with you a little bit. And I think in a good way. Not like, oh, we're going to see if it continues. No, we're going to cancel it. No, it was like, I don't know. And so you're kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to enjoy this as a final issue. And then he says, no, we're going to keep going. I will tell you this. If I didn't know this was the final issue, I would not have enjoyed this or spent as much time really soaking it in. So you know what? They got me, but I had a good time. It was kind of like a prank, but on you, but you're like, that was funny. I'm laughing too. So we get the wrap up here of what happens when the devil tries to end reality and they have to take her down. The pyramid and the angel girl have to work together. They do, but there are some consequences. And I'm not going to go past this page, but there are some lingering consequences to taking out the devil or taking out the woman who has devil powers, so to speak. So they trapped her in hell. Everything's supposed to be good. Well, we still got half a comic left. I thought it was all going to be wrap up epilogue stuff, but no, it just kind of ramps up and goes to places I did not think they were going to go as far as like world building, world ending consequences or after effects. What's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of the word I'm looking for. I'm thinking about you have time, you have something happens first and causality. Yeah. World ending causalities like this causes something else to happen. So really, really good. I really enjoyed it. Cheers to Kieran Gillen. I enjoyed this one. I think this will read even better as a trade. And again, it's one of those you read and you want to reread it to catch all the little things and you catch a lot of little things. So I really enjoy Power Fantasy. I think that is fantastic. Last indie book I read here. Thank you guys for sticking around. Conan the Barbarian number 29. This is written by Jim Zub and illustrated by, I can't remember the guy's first name. Doug Braithwaite. There we go. I had to look it up real quick, but it's on the last page, so I'm not going to show you the credit there. But Doug Braithwaite, written by Jim Zub. This was really interesting because Conan's not really in it. This is the origin story of someone that I think he's going to fight, and it's kind of your classic villain story. He was the runt of the family. He wasn't very good at what his brothers and sisters do. He does have some profiting ability. He can see stuff, visions in his nightmares, and I think in the stars, I'm not sure. And he ends up slowly killing his brothers and sisters and gaining their strength. So by the end of the book, he's stronger and he can actually hold his own. And you find out kind of how he gets ultimate strength. And now he's got to Now he's in a leadership role, and there's only one person who can stop him from doing what the prophecies foretell or what he's supposed to carry out for the prophecies. And that person, of course, is Conan. You get a shot of Conan at the end, but I won't go past here, so I won't spoil too much. But Conan continues to be another recommend. And if you have never read Conan, issue 29 seems like a great point to jump on. I keep saying with this run, check out issue 25. That was illustrated by Alex Horley, I believe, the whole thing. And that's a great example of like what Conan's like. And then this one, issue 29, is just a good jumping on point because it seems like they're starting a new arc. You don't even have to know much about Conan. You can get invested in this character. This is kind of like the Infinity War of this Conan the Barbarian. They're just setting up the bad guy. And I think that's pretty cool because sometimes Conan in these runs, if you don't know the history of these people, like you don't realize how terrible they are or how powerful they can be. This one sets you up to exactly how dangerous this kid can be. So I think this is great. And no, this scene doesn't happen here, unfortunately. So yeah, Conan 29, highly recommend. Let's see where to put the other books. There they are. I think we gotta go. Hey, Conan. Man, this is tough. All right, so time to pick my top 3, which you got 18 books to choose from. Almost all of them I enjoyed, but top 3, I'm gonna narrow it down to top 5 first, kind of talk it out if you don't mind. I'm gonna start with Conan, Hyde Street, and Power Fantasy. And then I think I'm also going to throw in Haven because, man, that one just really stuck with me. And then for a top 5, I think Save Now as well. Again, they make you feel things. They have some beautiful art. And, you know, I think Skinbreaker, of course, had the best art, but nothing that really stuck with me like I'm constantly thinking of after reading. So to narrow this down into top 5, top 3, man, this is tough. This is really tough. I think Hyde Street can come out because it wasn't its own story. It's got some great continuation, but didn't quite give me a lot of great hype moments. And I think unfortunately Haven, I wanted a true indie to be in the top 3. It was a great story, but I think ultimately because I'm a dad, because I love just good classic comic books, and because this one just had such a huge, oh my goodness moment, I got to go with Power Fantasy. Top of the week for me, I think we're going to go number 3, Power Fantasy, number 2, Conan the Barbarian, number 1, Save Now. Beautiful book, great book, and especially if you're a dad, you will understand why this is number 1. So there's my top 3 of the week. But Hyde Street and Haven, man, they were close. So there you have it, some great reads. I really enjoyed the Power Fantasy. If you're a trade reader, this will be well worth the wait on that. Escape is just good old action. And yeah, show some Rook City Comics some love. I wish I knew more about them so I could shout them out, but you can look at Haven and Sketch Night. You can find their links on Kickstarter, and maybe you can see some of the upcoming campaigns. And Conan is just a good time all on its own, and anything Ghost Machine is a lot of fun. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you want more comic book videos. This next one's I'll do on the road, but I will try to get them out for you as I travel. And like this video if you like this video, and I'll see you all in the next one. Adios.